You wake up in the morning, rushing to find your stuff before school or work. The panic sets in and you've never been more tired. You say to yourself, today's going to be a productive day. I'm going to train and eat super healthy. But it gets to 6 p.m, it's already dark, and your diet goals fly out the window. But it's alright because you're going to train tomorrow, right? If this sounds anything like you, then listen up, because this was me just 2 years ago. I was wanting to grind, but I could just never seem to be able to. But I turned this around very, very quickly. Just in the space of a year, I managed to go from heading to the slums of Sunday League forever to making my debut for a professional club. So, have you ever wondered why, desperately wanting to be a professional footballer, you keep doing the bare minimum? And most people will tell you that it's because you're lazy. But this is literally how 99% of the population acts. So if we want to be in that top 1% bracket, we have to act like the top 1%. The simple habit that will save your football career is writing down your entire day from start to finish in your notes page. But what do I actually mean by this? I literally mean you write every single task that you need to do in the day from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Every single hour of the day is filled out with a task that you've created for yourself. This habit doesn't start on the day, it starts the night before. And the first benefit of this is improving your sleep dramatically. When I was a bit younger, I used to stress quite a lot, and especially at night, I would basically be lying in bed and just thinking, how am I gonna make it, man? All of these thoughts were clouded in my head, and I was also wondering, what am I gonna be doing tomorrow? That was a big thought, and whether you like it or not, most of you will have actively experienced this, where you're in bed and you're worrying about tomorrow. And if some of you haven't experienced that, then you will actually be doing it passively, because your body needs to prepare itself for the tomorrow. So your body is pretty much constantly thinking about what's happening tomorrow as you're getting into bed, and this disrupts your sleep so much. So simply by writing down everything that needs to be done tomorrow, you kind of eliminate all of that stress gets eliminated, and then your body can actually rest. And ever since I started doing this, my sleep improved dramatically. But how does this actually relate to football, and why is this going to improve your football career? Well, simply, sleep. The more sleep you get, the better your recovery is, and the more you can train. Very, very, very simple. I'm not going to go into too much detail about why you need to sleep, but just trust me, the difference between playing a match or training when you've had a good 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep compared to having 5, 6, 7, the difference is immense. You feel so fresh when you've had that upper bracket of sleep. So just trust me, please take this seriously, because if you just improve your sleep and you don't take anything else from this, then trust me, that is enough to make the world of a difference to your football career. And when you have slept for longer, you can play at a way higher intensity, because when you're tired, you can't sprint as fast, your brain doesn't move as fast, you can't concentrate as well. Whereas when you are basically alert, you're alert because you've had good sleep, you feel refreshed, you can play at a higher intensity. And the higher you can play at, and basically the higher intensity you can play at, the higher you can climb up the leagues. And as well as that, let's be honest, everyone can learn a Neymar skill, they can learn a Modric pass, but to do it at the highest of the high intensities, you have to, that's basically what separates the best from pretty much everyone else. Because like I said, anyone can learn these skill moves, anyone can learn these passes, but to be able to do it at speed is a completely different ball game. And all of this comes from sleep, because the sleep gives you the reaction time, gives you the intensity, and all of that stuff. My brain for several years was on constant fight or flight mode before bed. Literally every bedtime I was stressing, I was thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow, what session I'm gonna do, and this is no way to live, because we're not robots, we're humans, so we have all these thoughts in our head, and those thoughts, like I said before, will disrupt your sleep. So just writing them down, like literally just writing down your day, will just remove all those thoughts from your head, and it will allow you to get better sleep. And as well as that, if you want to take it a step further, you can write out your thoughts about, like what's like literally how you're feeling. And I know there's loads of some people are going to see this and be like, oh, this is cringe, whatever. But just literally try it, because getting stuff out onto paper or saying it aloud really helps alleviate all of that stress, and then in turn you can get better rest. The first point was just a byproduct of writing down your entire day. The main benefit lies in your productivity, and since I started doing this, my productivity 10 times. I've literally never felt more productive in my life. This is probably my best season I've ever had, and most of it's down to me being able to work harder and getting more stuff done. I'm training most days, I'm recovering super well, and I'm literally locking up every right winger, and my dribbling feels so on point. And all of this is simply because I wrote down everything that needed to be done in the day. And this helped me get way more done. And the simple reason one of the reasons is because you eliminate all of this passive thinking. See, throughout the day, you are constantly thinking, what am I going to do next? What needs to be done? And like I said, we forget things, we basically delay things, we put things off. And what you can actually end up doing in this time where you're kind of procrastinating is if you don't have like a set list of tasks that need to be completed, it's very easy for you to put it off, and your brain can actually basically like lie to you and get you to forget about the thing because simply you don't want to do it. So your brain will, it's kind of like a defense mechanism. Your brain will literally just forget about the thing for you. And another example of this is pretty much, you know, when you're scrolling on TikTok and you're kind of delaying something in the background, you're kind of like, you don't know what to do, so you're just scrolling. What you can end up doing is this thing called doom scrolling, where you're literally just scrolling non-stop, and it's simply because you don't think you have anything else to do. But let me tell you, there's always things to do, and simply by writing the thing down, that's when you become a man on a mission, because you have a set list of tasks that you need to do. So you don't waste time scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on YouTube Shorts. You know what needs to be done, so you move on. You do your first task, then you're like, okay, right, I'm gonna get straight into this task. And that's exactly what I'm doing today as well. I've had my stuff written down just as an example of this. Today for me is half rest day. So what I'm doing today is I'm filming 2 videos, then I'm editing them, then I'm doing my deep stretch, and then I'm going to football training, and then I'm gonna do my recovery work and some pull-ups, which I don't think you can see there. But the point of this is, when you have the stuff wrote down, you are a complete man on a mission, because you look at this in your notes page and you go, okay, this needs to be done, then this, then this, then that. Whereas when you don't have it wrote down, your brain wanders, you just drift. You drift throughout the day. You're like, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll be productive, but I don't really know what to do, so I'm just gonna scroll. And then you end up endlessly scrolling and just wasting time because you don't have a set list of tasks that actually need to be done. So for you on a normal day, this may look like wake up, morning sunlight, cold shower, eat healthy breakfast, none of this cereals, then go to school, then after that training. But with your training, also write some specifics down of what you're going to be doing in training. So then you obviously aren't questioning and wondering what you're doing in training. And just simply by writing this down, even if you didn't complete everything on the list, you would still achieve way more than someone who doesn't really have a plan. Like, it's so ridiculous to me that people say, I want to be super productive, I want to be a footballer, I'm going to grind so hard, and they don't even have a plan. Like, obviously everyone has the long-term plan, right? Everyone has, I'm going to be a footballer as their long-term plan, but in order to actually see these results, you have to break it down so much into your daily actions, because that's how you get the long-term result. So it's not a question of you could just wander through every single day and you might train here and there. I'm telling you, if you write down just the training part, obviously you should do all of this, but if you just wrote down the training part, you would train way more than someone or your old self who didn't write down the training part. And I keep saying that the reason why this works is because you're a man on a mission. And obviously this is some random quote, but it's simply, to put it into other words, it's because you have a purpose. You feel aligned to something and you feel motivated to grind, because the simple reality is that when you're floating through life not having any plans, then there's no reason to do anything. Whereas when you have all this stuff wrote down, you're genuinely excited to grind, and that's the way I feel now. I write my stuff down every single day, and I have done for pretty much the last 1.5 to 2 years. And trust me, every single time you look at the notes page, even if you feel in a way that's like, oh, I can't be bothered, you know that you have to get it done. And trust me, you will get it done. Before I did this, I genuinely felt lost. And this is pretty much what I've been saying 99% of the population are like. Obviously, they have their things that they need to be done. They have their commitments, but they don't really need to do them because it's not set out in paper. So when you write it down, it literally has to get done, otherwise you fail yourself. And probably the biggest benefit of this, and the most life-changing one for results directly on the football pitch, is that you have way more brain power. You see, 99% of the population, like I've been saying, have all these flaws, but the biggest one is that When you don't have your stuff wrote down, you don't actually know what you're doing. So you're in this constant state of questioning. Your brain is constantly going, what am I doing next? What am I doing here? What am I doing there? And this basically, like, imagine brain power is like you start the day on 100, and every time you make a load of decisions, you slowly lose your brain power. And then by the evening, you can't really think and you're just tired, and then you go to bed. When you're constantly thinking, what am I doing next? Whether you're thinking it consciously or subconsciously, you're still thinking, right? And when you're questioning, what do I do next? What am I doing next? This basically results in your brain power going so much lower than it needs to be, because you're just wasting stress. It's effectively stress where you're thinking, I don't know what to do. Am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? All of these decisions that your brain is making is wasting your brain power. So then when you go out to train, you have less brain power. And this is one of the biggest benefits that I have, is that because I write everything down, and you'll feel the same benefit as well, your brain effectively goes onto autopilot mode, because you know everything that needs to be done, and it's not even a debate in your brain whether you do this or that. Once everything's wrote down, it has to be done, so there's no kind of slacking off, I might do this first, I might do that first. Because you have everything ordered and everything wrote down, your brain stops this whole, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And you just go into autopilot mode, because you're like, I need to do this, so I'm gonna do this, and that's the end of it. So you don't have any of this kind of debate, which wastes your brain power. And this is probably the biggest thing that I've noticed on the pitch directly. Obviously the productivity is massive, but if you just want instant results, do this on a match day. Because even on a match day, people are questioning, what do I eat? What time am I leaving? You're stressing yourself out for no reason. You're wasting brain calories. So just write everything out from literally, if you want, you can go into so much specifics that you write out every single 10 minutes of the day. But for me, I write out every hour or every couple hours. And basically from that, when you get onto the pitch, your brain is fully fresh. And this allows you to make better decisions. It allows you to concentrate better. And both of those things are pretty much arguably the biggest two factors in football, being able to concentrate for 90 minutes and decisions. Because, it's all very well being on the football pitch and being this talented player, but if you have bad concentration and you can't make good decisions on the pitch, you always pick the wrong decision, then you're not really ever going to make it to that top level. Your action steps for this video are to try this out for at least 1 week. If you have any other comments, let me know in the description, but just try it out for 1 week, because trust me, you're gonna start training way more. You're going to feel better about yourself every single night. Because this is another little benefit that I'll just say. You feel good about yourself. Everyone has this, I need to grind, especially in this culture of seeing everyone on Instagram doing better than you, everyone showing off their life. It's very easy to get down and feel bad about yourself. But when you're working towards a higher goal, when you're truly grinding towards something and you tick off all of those things in your notes page every single day, you feel good about yourself because you're moving forward in life. So those are all the benefits of it. Minimum, you're gonna start training more, which is gonna get you the more results. As well as that, your sleep will improve. And lastly, like I said, you'll have more brain power on the pitch. So all of those three things are absolutely massive. And without it, if I didn't start doing this habit, then my football career wouldn't have gone anywhere. So please try this out for 1 week. My free training will be linked in the description, and I'll see you in the next video.